All right, let's get started. First thing, let's go ahead and go to our brain teaser. The first one includes the diagrams on the right show three different views of the same cube. Which letter is on the face opposite of the letter U? Feel free to pause it or even go back to the classroom to do this. And I just want to remind you, you can self-pace yourself at any time. However, in this video, you can pause it and rewind it and kind of go about this in any way you want to. The next part of this will be going over the homework. So correction pens, homework all out. A little fun joke as far as before you get started. And if you have your homework out, we can go about reviewing the answers. I'll do this by revealing the answers. I will do my best to kind of walk you through when I think you might have made a mistake. I think for the first one, the biggest deal is probably knowing that there is a limit, literally on the top right here, in terms of there is a maximum for reading from bottom to top that you're going to have. Looking at the second question, it's a line segment. I'm pretty confident you'll probably get to do it in close circles, as well as this one when, I guess there's two answers. When h of x is equal to 1, you got to keep bear in mind when we look at 1, it's going to hit at two particular points right there. Okay? This is where it gets a little fun as far as knowing that there's a break between those items. Let's take a look and review domain. We have -6 going to -2. And since we're reading from left to right, yes, it should be a bracket that's right here. Okay? And then +3, we know that that is an open circle, so we want to respect that it's a parentheses. Range, we're looking at reading from bottom to top, as my marker didn't write. So remember to consider that and all the other answers. Let's check on the next question. It looks good to go with domain. I guess I don't have the increasing and decreasing aspect of it, which complicates things for some people. And -2, that's good. And we can go on to the next slide. I lied, there was no more slides, so let's get into the lesson next, which is on 5.8, Systems of Equations. Reminder that the homework tonight is going to be on IXL, and it gives you a SMART score, so you pretty much want to stop whenever you're happy with what your score is. But you technically have unlimited tries. I do also have the homework slides available for you on this if you choose to do these problems as well. I will post the answers for you in regards to this. So let's go do systems of equations. Remember, systems of equation is in regards to two or more equations or formulas and functions that kind of continue doing, is going to be graphed. We're going to skip this one and let's go on with this. As you can know, we're going to be dealing mostly with a quadratic and a linear function. You can tell that there are 0 solutions when there's no overlapping, and that's what we're talking about with this one in particular. And then if we're talking about one solution right here, it's when it only hits the vertex. In the instance that we have two solutions right here, it's going to intersect the graph at two spots. And we kind of got a feel for it in the previous slides when we did things where it was like h of x is equal to, in this instance, something like, well, it was h of x is equal to like -2. In this instance, it's h of x is equal to whatever that linear line is. So it could be, in this instance, the -1/2 x. +3 or something like that. And that's when you have to figure out when the equations would hit those. And you have the intersect function that's on your graphing calculator that we will kind of go over, but that's not the primary purpose right now. So let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. And it is thinking. So in this particular slide, we are looking at graphing two things. One's a quadratic function, and one is a linear function. The biggest thing is just to stay organized. If you have graphing paper or if you feel the need to just go ahead and use Desmos, I completely understand. At this point, it's I'll do it by hand here. If you have a new window with Desmos.com, I don't mind. Well, since we're going e-learning, or you can even graph with a graphing calculator. That's actually a better idea. I stand corrected. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at this particular function. We have 2x is plus 3. So we know that our y-intercept is going to be at the 3 point right here, which is a big font, and then it's going to be rise to, boom, and then boom right there. So when I draw a line, let's see if I can do this with my tool here. We know that that line drawn right there, it looks something like this. And then, of course, we want to be able to do an XY table. You know how I feel about my horizontal ones. We know that that's going to be a -1 vertex, because the h value is there is -1 since it's positive, and then we have -2 as the y value. So we have a vertex which is going to be concave up, because we know the a value is positive, and we have -1 and -2 here. So we have -1 and -2, and we know that we are starting there. We want to be able to go on the right side of it and also be reflective because of the axis of symmetry on the right. And here we go. When it's 0, we know that we substitute that in. If I was to show any work, it would be 1 squared minus 2. We know that's going to be just -1. And when it's 1, that would be 2 squared minus 2. So it would be 4 minus 2, which won't write and register. And that would be 2 here. So, and we know on the other side we have -1 and +2 as well. So as I graph this, we know it's going to be 0, -1. Similarly on that side. And then what do you know? It's going to be at 1. Oh, 1. Oh man, I graphed the wrong line, which thought about editing it to make myself look good, but you guys need to see me make mistakes. And I'm sure someone would have reminded me during class. We got 1, 2 right here. I'm graphing the quadratic first. And now I'm just going to go ahead and do the parabola. Going back to the other line, we got intercept of 3, and then we're going upwards because it's a positive slope. And let's draw the line. Which now looks something like this, and we can see, hey, it's going to intercept right here and right there. Hopefully that's the correct answer. But let's go ahead and get rid of the screen right there. If it's not, then we will witness what we need to do right. And then we have these 2 particular points where it's going to be -2, -1, and at 2, 7 where it intersects. And I just realized that my ink layer is gone, and hopefully it actually is the right answer. And if not, your job is to find out where I made a mistake. Let's kind of go on. Similarly, we have more. I would pause the video at this point to kind of graph this to see if you have the right answer, and then you can resume it. The answer shown on the next slide shows the concave down, and then the intersections are at -1, 5 and 1, -3. I think that it's just about being meticulous as well as taking your time. For some of you guys rush, I would urge you not to, like how I did before. Let's take a look at the next slide. On this next slide, feel free to graph this as well by pausing it. You can do it by hand on graphing paper and on technology as well. I would urge you to try one of each at your own pace. And this one, to our surprise, it does not have a solution because it doesn't intersect. You have the parabola that is concave up, going upwards, and then we also have the line that's below the vertex, and that being the case, it's not going to meet. There's more graphing, and at this point what you'll take notice is the one thing you should notice is the equation is not written in a way that you're used to. This is otherwise, you have the x and y together. So what can we do to manipulate this equation? We would rewrite this simply by having y is equal to now negative x squared plus 2. So all we do is move that x squared over to the other side, and then now we have what we call vertex form, or technically it's in standard form as well. You can take a look at the answer. Here I kind of have a slider set in place right here if you're still working your Desmos and you kind of want to see what to do. You can also adjust the slider by going up and down to move the line. But whenever you set a variable equal to a number, it has that ability to do it. And you can use the variables within the equation on the one below as well. Okay? Don't forget to put parentheses around things if you were to graph things properly. We have more practice, and then the homework slides. These homework slides talk about how many solutions there are, and feel free to do these problems for extra practice, and we can go about doing that. But I also want to take some time to kind of go over Math Excel for School. If you haven't already logged into your SSO, you can make your way through SSO and then go ahead and click on iExcel. When you're in iExcel, do not forget to click on sign in with Google. Where is that? That's simply right here. And you're going to sign in with your district login because it gives you more of the full features that you need in order to do the problems. Otherwise, you'll be using kind of like a trial version that's not going to do you any good. And once you click on this, it should take you here. And a quick reminder, I think I shared with you the code. The code on the assignment was actually, it was 4U9. So you would type in 4U9 where it says the iExcel search topic in the top 4. You can see me typing out 4U9. And when the 4U9 pops up, it actually says systems of linear and quadratic functions. Boom, click on that, and it will take you, let's try that again, 4U9, I think I was hasty. Click on it, don't click on it more than once because I hit diagnostic by accident. And here we have two equations. All you do is graph it, and then go ahead and put the coordinates that are matching there as well. You feel free to use Desmos, or you can use your graphing calculator. Now the graph homework slide, the last slide, kind of gives you a hint as far as how you would go about looking at the table feature to see what coordinates match up. So feel free to take a look at that. Also, there's the intersect option to do that with the calculation portion on your calculator. So feel free to try that out, and that is your lesson for today. Knock yourself out. And we will be here back to do the same old things tomorrow and Thursday. In the meantime, be safe, and this is Mr. Lowe signing out.